Welcome to this explainer. You know, the atmosphere at the 2026 World Cup has been absolutely electrifying. But amidst all these dazzling displays of athleticism, there's this one phenomenon standing out. And it's not just for sporting brilliance, but for its really profound historical resonance. We're witnessing this awe-inspiring run by the Norwegian national football team. It's a story of momentum, sure, but also of deep-rooted heritage. It's literally a nation channeling the ancestral power of its past right onto the modern pitch. So let's dive into this and unpack the fascinating cultural undercurrents driving this squad forward. At the center of it all is their talismanic striker, Erling Haaland, who has just been a total force of nature. Propelled by his devastating goal scoring, Norway rode their group stage momentum straight into the knockout rounds, edging out Côte d'Ivoire 2-1 in what was honestly a thrilling round of 32 clash. But actually, it was his post-match declaration that really caught everyone's attention. Looking ahead, after securing Norway's first last 16 appearance in 28 years, Haaland made this bold statement. He said, "I think it will change Norway forever." That is a pretty heavy, prophetic thing for a 26-year-old athlete to say, right? It kind of forces us to pause and ask a much larger question. What exactly connects the visceral energy of a modern soccer star to an ancient Norse epic? Well, to understand the true weight of Haaland's words and the sheer energy of the team he's leading, we need to pull back from the brightly lit stadium for a second and journey back into the mists of history. Section 1. The Modern Viking Roar, a Powerful Heritage. If you've tuned into literally any of Norway's matches recently, you've definitely heard it. That thunderous Viking clap, or the Viking row, just echoing from the Norwegian supporters packed in the stands. The fans move in this perfect rhythmic unison, and it brilliantly mimics the powerful rowing of a colossal longship. It sends this earth-shaking roar through the entire stadium. And, this isn't just a clever cheering tactic. It's a really striking visual declaration to the rest of the world. They are telling us they are the proud descendants of the Vikings, and the players down on the pitch wear that identity like a suit of armor. Section 2. Forged in the Fjords, the Viking Age. So, the Viking Age began in earnest back with a terrifying raid on the Lindisfarne Monastery in northern England in 793, and it wrapped up with the death of King Harold III at the Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066. But who were they exactly? Well, the name Viking itself actually stems from the Old Norse word vik, which translates to bay or fjord. The people who managed to carve out an existence along these really rugged, freezing Atlantic inlets were known to the world as Norsemen. Their harsh environment absolutely demanded resilience, independence, and just this unyielding will to survive. Section 3. Masters of the Waves. Viking longships. 50 centimeters. That is the astonishingly shallow draft of the iconic Viking vessels we know as longships. Think about that for a second. This single engineering breakthrough meant their ships rested almost entirely on top of the water, rather than deep below it. This completely revolutionized their ability to travel, allowing them to just glide silently into completely unexpected territories. Let's break down exactly why these ships were so incredibly formidable. First off, that shallow draft made them agile enough to navigate shallow rivers deep into the European heartland. Second, despite that agility, they were still resilient enough to conquer the punishing, towering waves of the open Atlantic Ocean. Third, they combined these massive sails with raw human oar power, which gave them unparalleled speed no matter what the wind was doing. And finally, they were built perfectly symmetrical at both the bow and the stern. This meant they could literally reverse direction instantly without ever needing to turn the whole ship around. So, armed with these masterful vessels and an unbreakable bond between comrades, the Norsemen basically redrew the map of Europe. Section 4. Discovering the New World, Global Ambitions. Driven by these brilliant navigational instincts, the Norsemen sparked a truly explosive era of expansion. Following those initial raids in 793, they just kept pushing ever westward into the terrifying unknown. In 874, the Norwegian Ingolf Arnarson led the settlement of Iceland. Then, by 985, Eric the Red pushed even further into the ice to discover Greenland. And the whole drama really culminated right around the year 1000, when Eric's son, Leif Erikson, sailed beyond uncharted waters to discover what they called Vinland. The archaeological site at the Land's End Meadows in Newfoundland stands today as proof of his landing. This was the very first documented European footprint on North American soil, roughly 500 years before Christopher Columbus ever set sail. It was an exercise in pure ambition and raw courage. Section 5. The Echo of the Saga. Ancestral Narratives. Now, to tie this all together, the crucial point is understanding the concept of a saga.
A saga is this body of ancient prose literature that was passed down orally for centuries in medieval Iceland. These tales immortalized all kinds of things: the exploits of kings, the grueling voyages of explorers like Eric the Red, the unyielding honor of the warrior. But here's the key. A saga always binds the deeds of a single individual to the grand destiny of their clan or their country. You see, personal glory in Norse culture was never just about the individual. It was always tethered to an eternal national narrative. When you view it through this historical lens, Haaland's post-match reflections become utterly fascinating. He actually admitted that he had long envisioned standing on the world's grandest stage wearing a Viking helmet. He isn't just offering your standard cliché victory comments here. His words carry the distinct echo of a Norse epic. By framing a single round of 32 football match as something that will change Norway forever, Haaland is very consciously anchoring his modern stardom to his ancestral roots. It's like 1,000 years later, the narrative voice of the Northern heroic epic still lives on. A 26-year-old athlete is out there actively writing a modern Norse saga in real time. Section 6. Into Uncharted Waters. The World Cup. So the whirlwind that Norway is stirring up at this tournament is about so much more than just a game of football. Over a millennium ago, the Vikings used their own physical strength to row out, conquer the terrifying, uncharted Atlantic in those brilliant longships, and completely rewrite global history. Today, their descendants are attempting to do the exact same thing, just on the green ocean of the stadium pitch. And right behind them, acting as the ultimate propulsion, is the rhythmic Viking row of the supporters, pushing the squad forward just like the oars of a longship cutting through violent waves.
And so, Norway sails into the deep, uncharted waters of the last 16. Awaiting them is the colossal wall of tournament favorites, Brazil. The stage is set for a truly epic showdown. The whole world is watching with bated breath to see if they can conquer this massive obstacle. What kind of history will these modern Vikings write next on this grand voyage?